Danny. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, buddy? It's good to see you.
It is. Yes, it is. Likewise, bud. And can you believe it's July already?
I can actually. The panic is starting to sit in because we're 2 months away from our event, and we have a lot of work still to do, and we're looking forward to it. So,
I did have a little anxiousness myself last night for the first time. So, I feel your pain, dude. I feel your pain. It is. There is a lot of work that's involved, and to you, and of course your wonderful wife, who was the first one to comment tonight.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, thank you for your efforts, and I know we have a few, or at least a couple announcements in terms of updates when it comes to the tournament. So I'll let you lead with that.
Well, I mean, as always, we want to thank our sponsors, and in fact, some of them are coming in a little stronger than we thought, which is very good to hear. Everybody's moving forward, so it's exciting to see that with NXS, Livingston, and everybody else as well, Shimano, and of course. So we're all very, very happy to have you guys on board. Registration is open. Obviously, everybody knows that, but we're into our second and last early bird draw, which is a 50% rebate on your entry fee. So we want to get that going. That ends on August 1st. So that's your timeline to get that done, and hurry up and book your cabin at Waterfalls or Vance's or Blue Heron, whoever's available. And we look forward to having everybody else down here.
We have a few vendors that I've been speaking with that are really excited about the expo too. So folks who are interested in putting your products on full display up in the Spanish area in front of some, I would say, very noted and incredible walleye sticks, by all means, please reach out to me or Danny and get yourself booked in a booth. We'd love to see you there. Love to be a part of the party that is going to be in Spanish. And as I said, I'm really looking forward to it. But like everything else, I'll be a lot happier when it's over and everything went well.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, but we are currently already very busy with 2026 as we've got. We already see the growth in front of us. We already have the opportunity in front of us. So we've seized that opportunity to grow the event to be bigger than it is already this year. And not just us, multiple events that are going to be working with us, and CFN, of course. And it's very exciting and terrifying news all at the same time that we're all looking forward to. Yeah.
But I believe the next tournament that you and I are both going to be at is up in Long Lac at the championship.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We're looking forward to it. Mayor Lisa and I, we've qualified for this year's championship with the NLWT, so we're leaving on the 21st. It's a big group. I think the last time I looked at the registration, we were at 88 boats. Alan's got registered currently, so that's very exciting. When you get a big field like that, it's really pumps you up. And Long Lac is a beautiful body of water to fish. It can beach up like a Great Lake. It'll fish like a Great Lake, but it's also it's very unique in its own. It's its own system. Even it's a reservoir that fishes like a Great Lake. I find it, so it's kind of unique that way. The community is fantastic. It's a beautiful place to be up. It is a long ride for us. I'm looking at 9 hours. I think you're around 13, if I'm not mistaken. So
maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So if people are wondering, those are the kind of sacrifices we made. And I'm also bringing up 2 dogs with me, a brand new puppy to begin with. So Crispy's getting his first break in on a tournament cycle, and Ladybird, well, she's a seasoned veteran already. So
it's awesome. Well, beat you up like a Great Lake. Great segue there, Dan, which basically introduces our I can't even begin to describe this in terms of using words, but the champ, Cody Chovancek, is here, and I will say this. He has got a lot to share. I had the privilege of meeting this gentleman at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show, and then have had a couple of phone calls and text messages back and forth. I want to share what he has in terms of a great story. And for those who perhaps maybe are suffering with a little anxiety or understand how fishing helps your mental health, Cody's going to help explain that. And I would have to say the reason he is probably best to talk about it is given his background and what he is involved with. And I will leave it there. If there's probably no better way, Dan, to introduce our next guest than to show some footage.
I think you covered it. We got to get to him now.
Right on. All right. Well, here is our guest, but we'll start with some rare footage that was provided to us. But this is Cody in action. Sit back and enjoy. This is going to be a great show. And as they would say, the champ is here.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Cody, it is an honor and a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak to you. And I know Danny's just as excited as I am, as well as everybody else watching, because we want to hear your story. We want to hear where Cody Chovancek came from, how you got to where you are, who introduced you to fishing, how fishing helps with your mental health, and everything in between. But welcome and congratulations on your last fight, which, of course, again, you are a champion, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hey, fighting's my profession and fishing's my passion, so we get to talk about them both right now, and I'm excited to do it.
And it's funny because a lot of people would say, Scottie, this is supposed to be a fishing show. What on earth are you doing? And I think just before we went live, to explain it so folks understand it, the anxiety and the mental punishment that you go through as a fighter, not only just in the fights that you deal with, but also the training regiment that you're involved with prior to these events, and what you continue to do, obviously, because training never stops.
No.
But to build that mental health and to have an out, were you a fighter first or a fisherman first?
Probably around the same. Like, honestly, I've been fishing for a very long time. I started taking it really serious, like really trying to get dialed in probably in my teens. But I started fighting. Well, I always loved fighting. I'm half Thai, and Muay Thai is their national sport. So I was always drawn to it. I feel like it's in my blood. And so, yeah, I was always drawn to that. And being from a small town in Petrolia, there wasn't a whole lot to do other than fight your buddies and go fishing. So
you would have loved it up here then.
Danny, I was going to say, you've probably had the same kind of upbringing.
Similar. We're a very small town here, and I can remember growing up where we used to all hang out like on the main street of town by the bank and right beside the hotel. And sometimes you'd be there and like, oh, the guys from Massey are coming here to fight, and the guys from Blind River be showing up, and it was like communities, and there was always like 5 or 6 guys to fight, but there always be like 50 or 60 people showing up for this, and that seemed to happen pretty regularly during the summer, and people that are my age kind of remember that, so it's kind of funny to hear him say that. It made me think of that right away.
Oh, Cody, yeah. How long have you been at this?
Going on 10 years now. I'll be 27 on the 24th. And I started when I was 17, so yeah, coming up on 10 years in the game, fighting. My first fight was MMA, which is like you're starting to see it now more with like the new age guys coming up. Right from the get-go, my goal was always MMA. It's not like I started with wrestling or I started with kickboxing. I had a big kickboxing or a big wrestling background. It was always MMA. My first fight when I was 17, they actually lied about my age and said I was 18, so I could fight. Yeah, it was MMA, so that was always the goal. I was always trying to work on wrestling, kickboxing, everything together. So,
awesome. What style of fighting did you start off with, and where did you migrate to?
So, I guess like growing up, my my best friend, his 3 brothers and him, his 2 brothers, they were all really good boxers. So I'd always be boxing with them and getting my ass kicked a lot. And then I started training kickboxing. And once I added the kicks in, it changed things up a little bit. But I started wrestling in high school, and then 3 months after that, I started kickboxing. So it was like pretty much the same time.
Now, Danny, having a bit of it in your background as well, like, are you a fan of MMA? Like, do you watch it regularly?
I do not actually. I don't watch it at all. And like we were talking earlier, when I got involved with karate growing up, it's just because I was a little kid. I was getting beat up all the time, and it was the only thing we had in the area, and I ended up being very good at it. So it was one of those things I was naturally fitted for, and it helped when you showed up in grade 8 for show and tell, and you had a great big first place trophy. People stopped wanting to mess with you after that, and I didn't have to do anything after that. And one thing I was noticing in your footages out there, I can see you kind of have that a good defense is an offense, and you seem really aggressive. You can see your attitude. I can see you trying to be intimidating people and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting to see that you don't normally spot. I'm a guy that doesn't spot that very often, but that's something I picked up right away. And you find that's it's pretty interesting to see. So, wonder if you approach your fishing the same way, really aggressive like that.
I'm a little more patient out there, but You know, it's all like I started figuring this out more as I went on in my pro career. It's you just got to find that, and I've said this in a lot of different interviews, but you got to find that mentality where you perform best. You know, I've experimented with different mentalities when I fight. Like, okay, I'm going to be really calm here, but that might not be it, right? You might be too calm, and then you lose control of the fight. So, and then you don't want to be too amped up. So I find that mix, and it took me a lot of years to find that mix where you're amped up, I'm entertaining, I'm having fun out there, I'm staying calm, still staying technical, and yeah, we've got that dialed in now.
I have to say it's obvious to me, Dan. I'm sure it's obvious to you. I was always told the quietest guy in the room is always the toughest.
Yeah.
And I would have to say Cody, without question, doesn't have to wear the belt to prove it to us. But I will say, coming from a bit of a background, I was a huge fan of Ultimate Fighter when it came out. And it was a mishmash of all kinds of strikers. I think Horst Gracie was the only one that really got on the ground and did the jiu-jitsu and some of the disciplines that I'm sure you've learned throughout your career, Cody. But things have certainly changed.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And when it comes to the UFC, it is a spectacle here every time the UFC is on in my house. All my kids absolutely love it. They bring their friends over. Like usually there's probably between 10 and 20 people watching the matches. So it is a really big thing. And I want to thank my kids for keeping me invested in it. I don't know the names like I used to, but I was
so many guys now. It's hard to know all their names, right?
100%. So given that, and where you are, because, going up the ranks of football, you get lost in the mix. You constantly have to do things to get the attention of those that you want looking at you. How do you do that? How do you prep for that? And amongst all of the fighters that are out there, how do you sort of rise above?
Well, I pride myself on being a fighter that wants to entertain, like I want to make sure those fans in the seats get their money's worth out of their tickets. I'm trying to put on entertaining fights every time I fight. And I think I've done that this far. And I think that speaks for itself when people watch me fight. And there's a reason why I've been main event 3 out of my 8 fights pro, because I'm always going out there to do that. And yeah, it's
awesome stuff.
Yeah.
So I have video footage of your first pro match. How many years ago was that?
I want to say 4 years.
4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
Well,
4 or 3 years ago.
This is just a little snippet of what it looks like to be a champion when you become a champion in your first pro match.
Right. Oh, nice double leg. Nice.
And he gets the takedown.
Do that high guard. Great elbows by Cody.
Those elbows definitely hurt Martinique. And the hammer fist and ground and pound punches turtling up as Martinique. Brian Beauchamp looking in close. We could see a finish. Big feeding of punches, and that's going to do it. Cody Chovancek makes a statement in his professional mixed martial arts debut.
Let's fire it up, man. That's giving me flashbacks.
That's incredible, dude. That is absolute. And I mean, and at that point, I'm sure you're already invested in the sport. At that point, like, tell me the high that you're on when
I'm from Petrolia. I grew up in Lambton County, but I moved out to Niagara 6 years ago, and that my pro debut was here in St. Catharines at the Meridian Center where the Ice Dogs play. So I drive by it every day, and it gives me good vibes. And I had a hometown crowd there, so again, I wanted to entertain, and it was just, I'll never forget that. Every time I drive by there, it's a good feeling.
That is awesome. And as I said, we played a snippet of I think all of your professional fights, but you just finished
all the ones on YouTube, but the other ones are on UFC Fight Pass, so it's a little harder to get them.
So it's interesting because there's a promo that I'm going to play here. This was the promo that was leading up to your last fight, which again, you could have lost your belt, but you didn't.
Rounds of action. We go to the judges' scorecard for a decision All three judges score the fight the same for your winner by unanimous decision. In the red corner, Cody Chovancek!
Incredible stuff, dude. Well done.
I seen the sigh of relief on your face. I was just kind of curious. How often do you go to like a judge's decision where you like, I really don't know which way it's gonna go?
It was a very close fight. It was a very close fight. He kind of chewed up my leg in the beginning, and I kind of lost focus on the game plan for a bit. Like for a round or two, and he was having success with a jab, but that's just adversity. My coaches and in the game, we prepare ourselves for adversity. We're always talking about it. So then when it happens, you face it head on. And we mix it up with him. Once I felt, okay, this guy's got a good jab, this guy's got a good calf kick, we'll land the hands on the feet and then get the takedown. Once I got a hold of him, I knew that I'd be able to dominate there. And then just adding that aspect into the game too, it really makes them think about it too, right? Like now I can feint the takedown and then go back to my striking. He's thinking I'm going to take him down the whole time, but really I'm trying to take his head off, right? Or whatever comes first. So I'm going to find the sub, or if I'm, I want to get him thinking, okay, this guy just wants to go to the ground, and then try to land some big shots on the feet. So
it's funny, Danny. I had the privilege of listening to Cody talk about the fight before it happened, and I think it was maybe a week or two, or maybe a month. I'm not even sure. Listening to the discipline and the attention to detail when it comes to how he was going to perform, what he was going to look for, how he studied his opponent. And I have to ask Cody, talking to you before to now that it's over, did he surprise you? Did he catch you off guard? I noticed you mentioned about the leg kicks.
So yeah, that was another big thing I learned in this fight. Like every fight, you have you learn a lot about yourself and about your game. And this fight, I learned to make adjustments on the go. Like you can study a guy's film. This guy hadn't fought in 4 years or 2 years or something like that. Yeah. So we're studying film that's from 2 years ago, right? Okay, he's got this game plan. We knew he had a good job. We thought he was going to play on the outside a little more, but really he held his ground and wanted to fight in the pocket. So that just that experience, now I'm going to make adjustments and be ready to go right from the get-go. The game plan is always something to study and watch how these guys move and what are their go-to attacks. But now I'll be ready to just kind of go out there and feel it out. What are they giving me right then and there? Not what they did 2 years ago or how they moved 2 years ago, right? Because everybody has a different game plan for different fighters. I don't go into every fight with the same game plan, right? So I learned that, and just the progression you make. You can you learn so much from actually having the live fight. You know what I mean? Going through those emotions and having the crowd there, and another training camp under your belt. It really levels you up.
That's awesome.
He sounds like a tournament angler the way he's trying to break down.
Oh man, I want to be.
Well,
I've done some tournaments, but my boat's not quite rigged out.
It's funny you say that, Danny, because that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, I mean, you're kind of preparing the same for a tournament, and Dan, you've had to do both, being the history you've had with karate, and of course the tournaments that you've been involved with. So you can certainly speak to that. I, on the other hand, have not done a lot of tournaments, and I certainly haven't fought in a cage like Cody has. So I'm enamored. I'm like, our spectators in, watching this, I'm taken back, because to me, as I said before we went live, the Golden Gate Bridge is a wonderful spectacle to view, but I'm more interested in how they built it. What I want to get to, which is a big reason why I wanted to bring you on, is the dedication and the training regimen that you have. And you explained what you had to do to get to weight. You're in the bantamweight class?
Yeah, bantamweight division. So it's a 135-pound division, and I walk around about 160, 155 in that range. And that's very common for guys in the UFC that are fighting. Some of them are even bigger. And so weight cutting's a big part of the sport too, right? And doing it properly and having the science behind it. There's tons of great nutritionists out there that they got it dialed in, and we have systems dialed in. It's not like this, just like the sport's evolving, that aspect of it's evolving a lot too.
Go ahead, Dan.
When you touch on that, like you say, it's the mental aspect, whether you're approaching that from a fight or to a training regiment. And it's always it's the hardest part is probably going to be the training regiment. No different than when we take angling and we're getting ready for a tournament, all the pre-fishing. You can get caught in your own head, get yourself all beat up. And it's fine to know that, okay, from this time of day when I'm at the rink or at the training center, I got to do this. It's when you're away from the training center, you got to get away from it. Maybe I shouldn't grab a bag of chips. Maybe I should go for a walk and try and focus. It's that mental fortitude to get you back. And like you were saying, fishing is a great escape. I find it the same way. I just get tunnel vision when I'm out there, and I can just kind of forget about everything else that's around me. And so that's kind of your escape to get around a lot of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the yin to the yang, like training, it's very chaotic, it's very physically demanding. I love it and I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about fishing. It's a little less physically demanding, but I'm still problem solving, I like Joe Rogan's quote. It's fighting is fast-paced problem solving with physical dire consequences. And fishing is like fast-paced problem solving if you're in a tournament without those physical consequences, but it's it's very similar, But for me, like I said, the training's very demanding and it can get grueling, and I get out in the water, it gives me time to think, which is a big thing too, just to get out there by myself. A lot of the time I train it every day at 11, so a lot of the time I'll go out sun up and I'll fish till 10 a.m. by myself, and just I'm thinking about techniques, and I've come up with some of my best combinations or techniques or how I want to train or what I need to focus on while I'm out on the water. Wow. Doing what I love too. So,
yeah.
Cody, if you could walk us through what you and I were discussing with Moose in the truck, what you were doing to prepare to get to weight. I think I was blown away. I was staring at Moose with my jaw on the ground. I'm like, he's got to do all this just to make weight? Holy crap.
Yeah. So there's a lot to it. It's so say you're walking around 160, you want to be dieting through your fight camp, usually a 12-week to 8-week camp. Right now I'm dieting for my fight coming up in September, but that's the dieting part. You're just cutting down calories and just making sure you're eating healthy. As you get closer to the fight, like fight week is when the science kind of comes into it. So fight week, you're going to cut out carbs and you're going to cut out sodium, and that's going to make you lose a lot of weight. And people always say, oh, I wish I could do that and lose the weight. But you do that, you're going to have low energy. Because fight week, you want to taper properly too. So you trained hard for 12 weeks, and fight week is your time to let the body recover. So you're not doing such hard training. You're letting the body recover. You go in once a day, light sessions, hit pads. So you can cut those carbs and sodium out. And then you're going to water load. So I'm drinking 10 liters of water, 8 to 10 liters. Some people do less, every day for 4 days. The day before the weigh-ins, you cut out drinking any water. So it actually tricks your body, and you end up pissing out more water than you drank. And so you lose weight that way too. And then you lose a lot of weight when you cut out carbs and sodium. So a lot of the time, I've done it from 52 fight week down to 135. I've done it from 50, and I've done it from 47.
Oh.
And then just when the weigh-ins. So the weigh-ins are the next day. You're going to go in, you're going to sweat in the tub. So normally you have 8 to 12 pounds to cut water, and you're going to sweat that out in the tub. So you get that bathtub to around 112 or anywhere from 109 to 112 degrees, and you're going to put this stuff called sweet sweat on you, and it's going to open your pores. It's going to make you sweat a little more, and then you're laying in that tub for 20 minutes. And when you get in there, trust me, you don't want to move. Once you move, it's like, okay, you want to get your legs out, you want to put your arms out. So I just try to get in there and just lay still for 20 minutes, sweat it out. After that 20 minutes, you get out, you lay in towels, and your coaches, they all wrap you in towels like a little burrito, and then you sweat for another 20 minutes. And then usually that 40-minute cycle, I'll lose like 4 pounds, 5 pounds.
Wow.
But as it goes on, it gets harder. You're going to start sweating less. Like the first sweat is the best. Like the last one, I lost 5 pounds. Then the next, you might be 4. And then as it goes on, it starts getting less and less and less. That's when the mental fortitude really comes into play, because it gets tougher as you go on. So
how does your body react like after a fight? Do you have any issues like for a couple of days afterwards, other than the obvious of being hit, stuff like that? But the fact that you kind of purged your body in a way and dehydrated yourself, and then getting back up to that, right?
yeah, for sure. I don't feel anything like that from the weight cuts yet. I had a tough weight cut this last fight, and I felt it a little bit before the fight. No excuses, whatever. But that just like the science is very important when you're cutting weight, it's really important for the recovery or the rehydration. So after weigh-ins, you make the weigh-ins. Usually I put on 20 pounds. So I weighed in at 135, and then when I walked into the cage, I'm 155. Sometimes 157. So when you rehydrate, you want to just have basic carbs, you just want to drink liquids for the first 2 hours. So usually Pedialyte is my go-to. My nutritionist, he'll mix up some stuff to make sure I'm getting that sodium back in, because we cut out sodium for a week. And then after the liquids, basic carbs like fruit, pretzels is a good one because you're getting salt too, granola. And then once you've ate that for a while and your stomach's starting to be good, like you can handle a meal, then just have like some light meals. Wow. So it's really important. I've seen a lot of guys mess that up, like the rehydration, and you're gonna feel like crap if you mess it up too bad.
So we can from the outside looking in, you take a look at this picture, Cody, and of course, mental health, not an issue. Looks strong, totally chill, totally in control. But it's not always that way. And the mental toughness that you require in order to perform in the ring. Tell us a little bit about the strain and what you do mentally to prepare for a fight.
It's just, there's a lot of stuff you're going to go through. There's kind of an analogy, like you got fighters, you got athletes, and you have a martial artist, right? When you look at fighters. So I consider myself more as a fighter. So the fighting part's easy for me. That's my favorite time when I actually get to fight. That's what I do it for. I want to go out there and I want to compete. To me, it's the purest form of competition. And but some people might be an athlete, they're really good athletic people, but they really struggle with the fight. So for me, what I do is I just, like, some people might get a lot of negative thoughts, and I'd say for me, like, I have a lot of positive thoughts, what I'm going to do in the fight. Okay, I might have one negative thought. What if this guy does this? Then I'm going to do this. I'm not really dragging on those negatives. I'm thinking about winning. I'm not thinking about losing. And if this guy does this, then I'm going to do this and to counter that, right? But it's just, the mind game is a very important. It's the biggest part of fighting, I'd say. Just reminding myself who I train with. I train with some of the best fighters in Canada. The work you put into the camp, it all helps when it comes down to actually getting in the cage.
And is there anybody in particular that you wanted to take an opportunity just to thank that maybe you don't thank enough?
I'd like to thank my coaches and my teammates, for always pushing me and being a role model for me and always driving that motivation and trying to join them in the UFC ranks. And then my other teammates too, that are always there for me, and we're putting in the work together. We're all in this together. It's an individual sport, but we're in there every day training with each other. So, and my gym's a big gym. We have a lot of fighters, so there's always somebody fighting, so you're always getting that energy. Okay, this guy's getting ready to go. Let's go, or my teammate, she's getting ready to scrap. We're going to be there for her, and we're going through those same emotions kind of with her. So it's not so like foreign when you get to do it. Sometimes in this game, you don't get to fight all the time. Like I had a bunch of fights in the beginning of my pro career. It was easy to find fights. But then as I was 7-0, okay, now it's tough to find guys that want to fight me. So I had to wait like a year. And I was waiting for the right opportunity to do like last minute with the UFC, whatever. But we got that fight, and a year seems like a long time, and it is, but you're always in the gym consistently and seeing your teammates go through it. So it feels like you're in there too.
You've had 4 title defenses?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Just the one. So the one before this, I won the belt, and then I defended it this one.
That's awesome. Well, I have to say, as impressive as I am with the trophy around your waist, I am equally as impressed with the trophies that you're holding with 2 hands. And this is the aspect of the show that I really want to share with our CFNers and anybody who's listening. How fishing has helped not only, sort of find your happy place, relax your mind, provide you a sense of chill and recharge, but what it does to sort of significantly help your mental health when it comes time to preparing for matches like you just had.
Yeah, just getting out there and like I said, it's the yin to the yang, right? Like it's pretty chaotic sometimes training, and it's physically demanding. Sometimes you're a little beat up and you need a little break, and that's that time where you can go out there and relax. A lot of guys meditate in the fight game. I know a bunch of fighters that meditate. That's kind of like my meditation, watching the sun come up, fishing out there solo. I've said it before too, but I'm really drawn to fishing and fighting because it's a primal instinct. People have been doing it for thousands of years, so it just feels natural to me, and I'm really I'm drawn to those things.
Woo!
What's that? Chewing, eh?
Trophy fish. Bay Quiddy, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That was a tank. That was 31 incher.
31-inch, beautiful. And of course, striper. That was. Look at this beast.
52-inch muskie.
Fatty.
That's St. Clair.
Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's in my backyard in the whirlpool in the Niagara.
wow.
So that kind of brings me up to like, what is your most? What is the species that you target the most? So like, when I'm going fishing, we all got our species, and I'm a walleye guy, but I still like bass fishing. I like over rainbows and stuff like that. What is your species, and like what's your personal best? Like what's your the fish you still talk about today kind of thing?
It'd be that muskie. Muskie is probably my favorite fish to catch because training's like a grind. It's not gonna happen overnight. You got to work for it. You got to grind for it. You got to be ready for adversity when it comes your way. Oh, I got hurt, or my ribs are hurt, or this is or my fight fell through, or something like that. Muskie fishing's similar to that. You're going out there, you're hoping you're gonna get it done, but you're going through adversity. Okay, I've casted 100 times and I haven't even rose a fish. I don't even know if there's any fish in this lake, but you just keep going, right? And then eventually when it happens, when you catch that big fish or you get that win, it makes it all worth it, right? So.
Do you agree, Dan?
Absolutely.
I figured you would.
You like to fish a muskie, Dan?
No, I don't like muskie at all. I've caught some big muskie like where I live here. I'm on the mouth of the Spanish on Lake Erie. There was a 55-incher caught the other day. The biggest I caught was 48 on walleye gear. But they definitely they're a trophy. Don't kid yourself. I mean, I love them. They're fantastic, but I don't target them. They're definitely a good way to make your boat smell funky for a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've caught 5 this season so far, but I've put in some days. And where we are in Niagara, I've caught. I'd say over 10 now locally, being here for 6 years, and just getting a boat last year. So I've been able to expand on that, but it's a grind, especially in a grind in Niagara. But this year I said I'm going to spend more time doing multi-species stuff. I've been getting into the salmon last year and getting into the walleye trolling. There's so much to learn there. And I want to spend some time doing that. And it's been going pretty good so far. So I'm excited to keep getting out there and expanding the knowledge and put some big fish in the boat.
That's the name of the game after it all. When you're more you fish, the more. That's my dedication, is just keep trying to outdo myself every year. And we've done pretty good over my lifetime. So the stretches get harder and harder and longer in between, but yeah, you keep going out. So then I get a nice little break. I'll bring someone like Scottie out and we'll go pound a bunch of big fish, and it puts a big smile on my face. It makes me feel better just to kind of show off instead of being by myself all the time. with my wife especially. She's my tournament partner, so we get to spend a lot of time together in the water. And we yell at each other. I yell at her a lot. She doesn't yell back. She's pretty calm. I'm the hothead in the boat. I'm the one that takes all the trouble. But
Cody, do you prefer trolling, jigging, or casting?
For muskie?
Any fish.
I prefer casting.
You prefer casting?
I always said I hated trolling. Oh, I'm never trolling. My buddy wants to ask me all the time, you want to go salmon trolling? I'm like, no, I'd rather go catch bass or walleye. But now being a boat owner, I see the value in trolling. It's a very effective way of fishing. You're in the water the whole time. And there's so much to learn there too. Before it's like, okay, we're just pulling lines, but now we're trolling and you got dipsies and planer boards and 10 colors, lead core, and all these different techniques to learn. And it's pretty cool. Like anytime I bring out anybody on the boat and they catch a fish and I'm setting lines, it's like, I kind of caught that fish too, So
yeah.
Any fish in the boat's a good fish.
You definitely sound like an angler. We're all like that too when it comes
to
Yeah.
I gotta admit though, like one of the most explosive and most exciting bites I've ever seen in my life is when a salmon smashing a dipsy. I feel they're gonna rip the gunnel off the boat off, and aside from fishing in the ocean, you never know what you're gonna catch in the ocean, so that's always an exciting thing. But for freshwater, salmon blowing up on gear is absolutely amazing.
Scream and drag.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll make you jump if you're not paying attention. When that rod's ripping into there.
For sure.
Now you've got trophies that a lot of us would be more than happy to have, ourselves. But are there any bucket list fish or bucket list trips that you're looking forward to doing? Maybe when you retire or somewhere down the future, or maybe.
There's a lot of trips I want to do. I want to go. I just went after the fight, so I actually have. I'm making a YouTube channel. It's going to be called Octagon Outdoors, and I got my first episode coming out. It's going to be a little bit of my last fight, and then like backstage kind of getting ready, and then after the fight, and then I went out east. I took the boat and I drove the truck. Me and my girlfriend went out to Miramichi, New Brunswick, fishing the stripers in the boat, and then we ended up going to Nova Scotia. So the first episode is going to be called From the Cage to the Coast, and then Dana calls. Because I got the call for Contender Series while we were out there, so it was like all perfect timing,
Wow.
Yeah, but that's a trip I want to do again, man. Like that was unreal out there, and I'm obsessed with the outdoors and just being out there. I like to hunt too, so there's a lot of great fishing opportunity, a lot of great hunting opportunity out there, and
I know a great guy out there. I know a really good guy out there for muskie and stripers. So. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. PO.
He's St. John.
He's out of. I think he's in St. I could be wrong in St. John's, but he used to work for us with GFW. But he was actually did an episode with Fishing Canada last year, and it just blew him up. So he's been guiding full time though.
I know what you're talking about. I watched all those episodes because Bo-Rod, Pete Bowman, he gave me some tips. I was going out there. I was kind of mentioning everybody I knew that have been to Miramichi because I was going out there blind. Like I knew you can catch them on casting gear and whatnot, but I kind of need some tips and points. And Ron James helped me out a lot too, and put me in contact with his buddy Aaron. We went out fishing. It was an awesome time out there. Nice. It's just a phenomenal fishery. The time I went, like when I went to Miramichi, I caught probably 40 fish in 4 days. 40 to 50 fish in 4 days in Miramichi. So that's actually slower for that fishery. But I was there during the spawn. So they had a 10-day spawn season. I got there right on the first day, and I was only there for a week. So I couldn't fish a big section of the river. And I guess when these fish are spawning, they're really focused on spawning and not really eating too much. I was able to find some good fish, but no big ones. But then we made the trip out to Nova Scotia. The girlfriend and our other friends wanted to see Halifax, so I booked our Airbnb in Stewackie. And she's like, why are we staying here? Like, look at this. This is like out in the boonies. And I'm like, well, this is a perfect striper river. And I ended up catching some tanks. And if you guys tune in and watch the first episode, you'll see them.
Oh, we will. We'll check it out for sure.
I can't freaking wait. So walk me through, now that we've learned about your fighting prowess and, of course, your fishing prowess, tell us, share the moment that Dana White calls you to invite you to the Contender Series. Like, Good Lord, man.
Yeah, it was pretty unreal. It was actually, so he actually called my manager, and then my manager called me. But we were, my friend Daryl, big shout out to Daryl Lowe's. That trip wouldn't have been able to happen without him. So thanks again, bro. And he might be watching, you never know. But where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So he bought 50 lobster for $200. And so we had this huge lobster dinner. His friends there cooked it all up. We ate, between me and my girlfriend, we ate 22 lobsters.
Wow.
And for the dinner. And then he calls, my manager called me right before we were about to sit down for dinner. And he said, I got bad news for you. I got bad news and I got good news. And I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, I didn't get the call for Contender Series. Like, waiting another year because I was kind of waiting. That's why it took so long to get a fight, right? But he goes, the bad news is you're fighting on a Tuesday night. And the Dana White Contender Series is the only promotion that you fight on a Tuesday night. So I instantly knew, okay, we got a call, and it was a surreal moment that I got to share with my friends and then tell all my family and everything. It was huge.
Now, I have to ask too, like, dude, and congratulations, well deserved. And just listening to how you prepare for a fight and how you prepared yourself to get to this point. The Contender Series is your foot in the door. I mean, not to say that none of this leading up to that has been that, but now in the Contender Series, this is your time to shine.
This is a big job interview, is what it is. You know, for those of you that don't know what Contender Series is, it's Dana White show where he brings all the best prospects around the world and you fight on a Tuesday night. So you have one fight against another prospect. I'm fighting a guy from the UK. And when you win that fight and Dana likes you, he signs you and gives you the contract. So I actually think it's a lot better than the Ultimate Fighter because, number one, I know who I'm fighting. I'm training. I get a full training camp with my coaches where I'm not locked in the house for 6 weeks. And they take your phone and everything, right? And you know how that show goes. Like,
Yep.
You're in there with a bunch of meatheads and chirping and whatever back and forth. But the Contender Series, I've always pictured myself getting on there. I have 3 teammates that have been on there. We're 3-0 on Contender Series. So they keep saying no pressure, but we're 3-0. I'm looking forward to it. I thrive in the pressure. So it's going to be a good night.
You know, and it's interesting that you bring up that analogy because I often watch that in the very beginning and I thought, you know, how barbaric, you lock these guys in a house and then expect them to all get along.
Yeah.
And I will say this, in all the years I played football, I found out very early on, especially when you're playing with and against men, the importance of having a coaching staff because they keep everything on, on the up and up. Everything is controlled. It's controlled chaos is what it is.
Yeah.
In that house, there's no control at all. And it just became as everything else, a reality show. So I'm really glad to hear you say that you didn't want to go down that road because I thought what a meat grinder of a way for someone to get recognition and then ultimately a contract. The way you've done it though is strictly on your skill, determination, and of course your ability. So congratulations for the call.
Thank you. Don't get me wrong. If they would have called me, I did an interview for the Ultimate Fighter. I did a second interview, and if they would have took me that season, I would have done it. But I'm glad that I'm going the Contender Series route, just because it's, again, I'm not locked in that house, and then I got one fight in the Ultimate Fighter. You could have 6 fights, right? You go to the final, you have to fight 6 guys. So it's definitely a better route, and I think they're pushing the guys on Contender Series a little more because they're all the best prospects around the world, and they want to promote you. So, I mean, there's been a ton of big fighters off the Contender Series: Sean O'Malley, Jack Dellamena, the champion. There's the list goes on. So,
unreal. And of course, with that, there is the inevitable if you do get to that level, and I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of us cheering you on to get there. I mean, I don't even know how to, like, how would you describe getting to be the champion of the UFC?
Well, that'd be,
Amen.
that's the ultimate goal, right? That's the biggest accolade that you can win in our sport, and when that day comes, it's going to be surreal, you know.
That's why I let you say it, because I can't do it justice. Now, you know a little bit about this foe that you're going to be fighting from Great Britain?
Yeah, he's a Brazilian that lives in the UK, and he's a striker. He will shoot, but I see the holes in the game, and we'll expose it when it comes time. We're developing a good game plan, and yeah, I'm excited to go out there and represent. You know, I'm representing my country. There's only 2 guys selected this season from Canada, so I'm one of the 2, and going to represent all my fishermen and fisherwomen out there too, and set the hook. You know, get that Sally back out there after I get the KO.
That's awesome, man. Well said. Well said. How soon is the match?
September 16th.
Oh, so not that far away.
Not too far, no. And it flies by faster than you know. You know, like, okay, I got 12 weeks. All right, you got 11 weeks. It keeps counting down, and it's time's flying by. You know, so.
Are you heading down to the States to fight, or where do you fight?
Yeah, so it'll be in Las Vegas. It's
nice.
It's at the UFC Apex. So there's been a lot of great fights in that room, and my teammates, like I said, they're 3-0 in there. So it'd be cool to join them on the Contender Series W list. You know.
Well, you know what's going to be really cool is when I sit down, because of course, you know, my kids absolutely love the UFC. They love the Contender Series because they love all the up and comers. They love. I'm sure my oldest boy is watching this just because I had told him that you were going to be on. It is going to be awesome. So I want to thank you for having the privilege of getting to know you, so that when I see you in September, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to be the proudest one sitting on the couch.
Unreal, brother. And I appreciate you guys having me on. You know, I want to come up and do some fishing with you. It sounds like you guys got a pretty cool a lodge up there on the Spanish, and looks unreal.
The Bacon Lodge, yeah. Well, we got lots of room up here. You're more than welcome anytime, but we got lots of opportunities up here. It's Lake Huron, so it's anything we want.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Off the Spanish. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So nice. So that'd be a killer spot to do an episode. I'm always looking for now that I'm doing this, and I want to tie my 2 worlds in together. You know, one channel where people can see a little bit of my training, and then they can see some fishing too. So I'm looking at spots.
My personal best up here, I don't know if you can see it over there, but that's a 15.25-pound walleye.
Oh, wow, eh?
That's a replica. That was caught maybe about 5 miles down the river from here.
No way.
They get big up here, and Scottie can attest to that, which is...
how long was that?
31 inches with a 20.5-inch girth.
That's insane.
Yeah, and she was 15.23 on the scale.
What'd you catch that on?
Jig and a minnow. Just good old-fashioned jig and a minnow.
No way. That's way.
It's all rod in hand up here. No trolling. You're sight fishing. Reason why, like, we're hosting our NCAA, our North Channel Walleye Open here in September, and that's where we're targeting all these fish here. And it's going to be big bags out here, and big smallmouth. I've seen 8-pound smallmouth come out of here.
Okay.
55-inch muskie is not uncommon. I personally caught 27-pound northers out here. A lot of it all too incidental. You're not actually targeting them. They're living together. They're feeding together. And Manitoulins are right in our background. Everywhere you look, you can see it.
No way. Okay, so I've been to Manitoulin. I fished on Lake Kagawan years ago. Yeah, that's a beautiful spot too. And they get some big bows out there, right? Like big stalker bows.
There's a big bass tournament coming up in the long weekend, and we got quite a few of our pro staff fishing it. And the guys that are currently fishing, especially around the Clapperton, Benjamin areas, and always like right where I grew up, I still hang out, play around. They're while they're catching their smallies, they're catching rainbows in 4 feet of water right now. And it's jinx. You're sight fishing them, and you're just throwing whatever you want at them. And you get big walleye out there too. Like I've seen bigger walleye than I've caught out there. And the clearer the water is, the harder it is. You can run 100 miles out here and catch a variety of fish everywhere and have a good time. And
that's the same deal here in Niagara. When the clearer the water it is, the harder it is. You know. And I do a lot of float fishing in the Niagara in the winter and in the fall. And sometimes you're running 4-pound line. You know, when it's super clear, you gotta really downsize and get that super thin line. So I feel you there.
I have to ask this, Cody. You know, and to talk a little bit about the day I had on the water with Danny. You have trolled the Bay Queen, so you know exactly the amount of time it takes to get your first trophy to the boat. How much?
I actually haven't trolled on the Bay Quinny.
Oh, you've jigged? You've jigged?
Yeah, only ice fished.
Oh,
like okay. I've done a little bit. I've done normally when I go up there, honestly, I fish muskie. So my girlfriend Danielle Lentini, she's a pro fighter as well. Actually, we fought on the same show when I defended the belt, and she had a killer fight. But her family is from Belleville, so I kind of got the trifecta. Her family's in Belleville, so we go up there and I fish. I live in Niagara. I fish here. I got Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and then I grew up in Sarnia, so I go see my parents, and I got Lake Huron and the St. Clair River right there, Lake St. Clair. So
we're not worthy. We're not worthy, but you win.
I have to do a lot more work to fish the system. Like when I fished Lake Erie, we were leaving Detroit and running 65 miles all the way to Ohio, and then fishing that coming back. And
for walleye.
Yeah, we fished the Master Walleye Circuit down here a few years ago.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah,
that's when those guys were cheating, eh? Stuffing the fish full of lead or what?
That was after that, but that was part of the Lake Erie Walleye Trail. We were fishing the Master Walleye Circuit, so it moves around. So that was the year it was being hosted, and I was fishing with a guy out of he's on John Goebel. He's a custom art charter. He's out of Drummond Island in Michigan. So we fished together, and we got beat up that day. We got caught in a Lake Erie blew up on us. Took us 5 hours to get back. And
no way. I got some buddies that do tournaments out there, and they told me stories about driving over like across the lake, and okay, the one guy takes his trailer and drives back, and the other guy's going across the lake in the worst storm ever. Yeah. And they're calling him on the phone, and his phone cuts out. But
we were getting ready to stop at Put in Bay, but like, you know what? We're probably gonna have to rent the room and spend the night. We didn't think we were gonna make it back. It was that bad.
Can you do that? Like, is Put in Bay in the?
We would have been disqualified on the spot, but we were worried about it. We were in a 22-foot Warrior.
Oh wow!
Like, it was bad.
Those are wicked boats. I've seen the Warriors. They look unreal.
Jason and Nick, on the other hand, they decided that they just said the hell with it, and they ran it. And we spent 3 hours fixing Jason's boat afterwards, and they made it back in an hour and a half. So,
so let me ask you a question about Lake Erie. If you had a 6-rod spread, you're fishing 65 to 70 feet of water. What's your 6-rod spread you're running?
Baits, you mean, and depths?
Just like your lines. Like what type of lines you run in the 6-rod spread? Like dipsies and planer boards and
everything's on boards, and I'm pulling cranks. My go-to is going to be Livingston's. I love Livingston baits, and we've actually did some experiment with them. Again, it's Lake Erie. You got to play with that clarity, right? Of, the old school, watch your cavitation plate, working your string. When we were actually fishing that tournament, John was fishing his go-tos. He guides out there. So we kind of figured out on this day too, every time we would turn in and stall the boards would literally lay down flat. We would get a strike only when the sun was out for some reason. And once we figured that out, we would be driving. All of a sudden the sun would just pop out. We would just do a sharp turn whichever direction we were in, and usually one would go off right away. But it's the only place I've ever fished where you're doing 30 miles an hour and you're scanning fish and you're looking at them. You're like, yeah, it's only a quarter of a mile long. It's not worth setting up our spread on that. And they just keep on going to the next one. But if I was to fish it again, I wouldn't even pull a board. I would be rod in hand. I would be sharp. I'd be chasing them down with my sonar with my live.
Really, eh?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even hesitate. I would be a jig and a paddle tail or something like that.
Wow. So guys can do that in that series.
Oh God, yeah. John Hoyer won it last year, the National Walleye Tour. That's how he won it out of Port Huron.
No way.
Yeah.
Right now it's
Port Huron.
Huron, I think, is out by Sandusky. Anyways, I think it's really where Port Huron.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you said Port Huron.
I did, but I'm mixing up. They're all Port something, and they're all Huron something, right? So
I was gonna say Port Huron's right across the border from where I grew up. So
yeah,
I was like, that's a long run out to Sarnia, but
I would have to say right now, if you're down on Lake Erie, worm harnesses, this is what I keep hearing. It's so basic. It's so straightforward. The bite is really, really hot. I'm sure you've heard that too, Cody. Right now, Lake Erie for walleye especially is on.
Every time I've gone out there, I've been getting limits.
Yeah.
I finally got it like dialed in. It took me a long time. Like last year, I went out there a handful of times and managed to get a few fish, but this year it's going good. And I just wanted to ask you because I'm running 6-rod spreads when I go out there, and like running dipsies, 2 downriggers, and usually 2 boards. But I found the fish are feeding up high. Like the mistake I made the first night, I was crushing them, and we were in 65 and 70 feet of water, and I was just marking tons of fish on the bottom, right? But I didn't understand that we caught our 1-man limit. We had a 4-rod spread that day. My buddy once we've seen all the fish on the bottom, I'm like, okay, let's drop everything down to the bottom. But really, those fish are all feeding up high. But I didn't understand at the time that you're not going to mark those fish.
No, and your bait is a good indicator. So if you see your bait at 20 feet, target that 20 feet. And then after that, you just start playing with your color and your speed and trying to dial in what they really want. Some of the guys, they'll run, especially on Erie, your silvers, your purples, and blues. They'll put one, and they'll mix up their spread. And then they start saying, well, they seem to be honing in on the purples and the reds, and then they'll start putting out double that. And eventually you'll get, doesn't take it long to figure out this is the pattern they're hitting. And a lot of guys will take pictures of whatever they figured out. The next day they'll put that back out, and then they'll just start from scratch if they have to. It'll change.
So it can change day to day.
Lake Erie, especially, it'll immediately change with the wind or anything will change it.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I'm learning.
We always do. We always do. Danny, any last words before we let Cody go?
I cut Scottie off, and I apologize. Me and Cody went on a tangent.
No. I love when I get cut off. That's awesome.
Yeah, sorry, that was my bad. I got excited.
I'm just teasing him. But no, it was really good. We tried to get you on before, and I'm glad you finally made it. It was really enjoyed talking to you. And anytime you want to come up, reach out. You're more than welcome to. We love showing the area around, and hopefully we'll get you back on again next time as after you win your fight.
UFC fighter next time.
Amen.
Exactly.
I'll get that blue check mark on Instagram too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
Cody, all the best to you, my friend. I wish you all the luck. I know you don't need it because you work hard to get where you're at right now, and you're going to work even harder to get where you want to go. But the best part about it is we're all going to be able to watch. We're all going to sit back and watch you on this incredible journey, dude, and keep at it, dude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's been great to talk about, my profession and my passion. Both of them are my passions, but it's been awesome talking to you guys, and I hope we can get on the water soon.
Right on, brother. You take care of yourself. Have a great night, Cody.
Awesome. You too, brother.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, holy smokes, man. What an incredible guest. I was so looking forward to that. And everything we learned, I mean, it was that and then some. But for someone like yourself, Daddy, who has had the discipline, you can attest, like, exactly the journey he's been on.
I have no idea. I mean, I can go back in my past as a very young man, a child, really.
Yeah.
And I had the success, but it wasn't a path that I picked, but a lot of friends did. And one thing I do know is it's that mental fortitude. Like I was saying, it's not necessarily sticking to your training regimen. It's what you do after your training regimen, sticking through that. And you can tell by his discipline that he's very focused, and that's hard to do. I mean, like, I haven't weighed 160 pounds in a very, very long time. So
I was 165 in the womb, bud. Well, Dan, as always, dude, it's great to spend some time with you. I want to also acknowledge the fact that we're going to have Kayak Bass Canada on next Wednesday. The Trio event is this Saturday, and we're looking forward to having some great videos and photos to show next Wednesday with Aaron, and I'm not sure who else he's going to bring, but it should be fun.
It's amazing how big this world is.
Amen.
Amen. Wow.
Amen. All right, dude, you take care of yourself. Thanks again to Cody, and you guys have yourselves a great week. We will see you Monday for CFN Live.